Hi, everyone. For those of you who are just joining us now, welcome. I'm Jasmine Enberg, Vice President and Principal Analyst here at eMarketer. And those of you who are coming from the keynote, thank you for sticking around. I am so excited to continue with our programming with our first panel of the day, which is focused on the evolution of creator content. Before we begin, I'd love to do a round of introductions of our great panelists. Can each of you tell us who you are, what you do, and a creator whose content you are loving right now? Bryan, let's start with you since you're first up on my screen.
Sure. My name is Bryan Reisberg. I am the dog dad to Maxine, who's right there. I'm also the CEO of Little Chonk, which is a creator-led pet brand that we started back in 2021. And a creator that I'm really loving right now, it's this guy in Japan. His name is Kantaro_Japan Walker, and every day he's documenting his journey walking across Japan with his dog. And I mean, the engagement is through the roof because he's doing this thing that every day is just galvanizing an audience. He's such a sweet guy. I don't know. It just kind of came out of left field, and I'm just like tuning in every day to see this guy's adventures.
Does Maxine watch it with you?
Yeah, she does.
Sarah, how about you?
Hi, Sarah Crockett. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at DSW. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm going to plug Paige DeSorbo, maybe more of a celebrity influencer of sorts, but also very much a creator in the podcast land and the social land. And just love the message, love the fun. We all need a little bit more of a spark of joy. And she kind of owns it and brings everything to the forefront with her audience.
I love that.
Maxine's a giggler, so.
There you go.
Nicole?
Yeah, I'm a giggler too. And your campaign that you guys just dropped with Paige looks fabulous. I saw it on her feed this week. So congrats to that. Very timely.
Thank
you. Working with Paige. The content is beautiful. But I'm Nicole Weltman. Hi, great to be here. I'm the head of social for Taco Bell across paid, owned, and earned. And a few of my colleagues and I have been sending around content from, it's called MD Foodie Boys.
Oh.
And they're young and they have a podcast and they're on IG, TikTok, and YouTube. They're doing it's so professional. They're doing like their clipping strategy. So last night I saw a clip of them talking about what they think the difference is between Belgian waffles and regular waffles. And I think I'm still stumped. It's really endearing food content.
Yeah.
I love that. And if any of you in the audience have any favorite creators you want to share, please feel free to drop them in the chat as we're talking. We all need a little bit of inspiration. But let's dive into the content, because one of the trends that we have been tracking at eMarketer for some time now is the migration of creators and their content off of social media. And Bryan, I know when we were talking earlier, you were telling me about an out-of-home campaign that you did with Google Wallet. So could you kind of elaborate a little bit more on that and whether or not you've been getting more of these kinds of requests or inbound for non-social or omni-channel campaigns from brands?
So we had we did an out-of-home campaign for Google Wallet for Tap to Pay. So they did billboards around all the major subway stations in New York City. And because our journey is so integral to the subway, that's why I carry Maxine. That's why we invented this dog backpack. That's why most people know her. So we were featured in a lot of photography throughout the subway. And then there was a media component. And so we made social content for it. But the social content was just about how cool it is to be an online creator and to be a part of an out-of-home campaign. And I think, that was, it was about a year and a half ago, but now we're seeing it more and more where creators are stepping off of TikTok. Like, there's a lot of Super Bowl commercials this year with Alex Earl and Jake Shane. And that's part of the fun of seeing like our favorite creators become a part of more traditional media outlets. And then that in and of itself can turn into like great organic media to put on social. Because when you have these audiences that are following these people who come from wherever, I mean, you're not coming from, we're not celebrities. We're just normal people who kind of grow these audiences and these followings. It becomes really fun for them to be a part of that journey and to kind of see the rise of a lot of these creators stepping into new arenas. So we're seeing it a lot this year. We saw it a lot a few years ago, and we're going to keep seeing more of it. Kind of the evolution of the online creator.
Yeah, and I love that you brought up the Super Bowl TV campaigns, because I know, Nicole, you recently worked with a creator at Taco Bell to launch a TV ad. Can you tell us what prompted that, and if this is something that you think you might be replicating?
We are replicating it. Actually, we just had another shoot this week with a different creator, or it might have been last week. But we launched this with a creator named Ash Shu, spelled XU, and she's on TikTok, and just a really amazing, food stylist creator. And we figured, like, this is a place that's just ripe for disruption, and speed to creation and creating things that look and feel like they belong on the internet is more and more important, especially when you look at where our media is placed. But it's a tried and true tactic, right? Like, even when you think back to the traditional spokesperson, you put a celebrity in your spot because then it also helps you get press. They can go out and do interviews. This is like flipping the model on its head. But whenever you're making an investment as a brand, the more that you can get out of it, and it's not just living in one place, the better. And so for us, we got to kind of mobilize her community, her channels, have a really beautiful, craveable spot that can live on connected TV, social, and TV. And because it's still, a newer way of working, we got some press hits out of it as well. So really, really proud of it. And it's just something that we're going to continue to leverage to diversify our content mix.
How was that a difficult sell internally? Like, how did this come about?
I think what makes it difficult is that many marketers are just kind of used to doing things a certain way, like even like the safety blanket that could be Video Village, or, a certain way that you feel like a pre-pro, or seeing storyboards just makes you feel really confident. But if you grew up in social, like I've been working in social for over a decade. I was like, a Video Village, don't know her, never got it, right? Like, you're just standing over someone's iPhone. You can kind of leverage the confidence and the way you're used to doing something and bring people along. So it made some people uncomfortable, but we knew that we had enough assets for this particular product to use it as a test, and the results blew everyone away. So now that's a really important, component of this, is merchandising the success internally and really bringing people along. And now there's so much excitement around it.
Absolutely. And I know, Sarah, DSW uses a ton of creator content in stores. You also recently featured creators in your back to school campaign. So how has that been resonating with in-store shoppers particularly?
Yeah, it's definitely a space that DSW has been leaning into, and similar conversations to what Nicole and Bryan represented. The beautiful thing about working with creator content and placing it in our marketing channels and then representing it in our stores as well is that not only does it resonate better with the consumer, but it's also something we can see as a multiplier for our own built content strategies. So featuring people that represent and look like and feel like and can be relatable to our customer base, which is a very large, diverse customer base, is a great benefit. So what's the perspective of a creator when it comes to getting their kids and themselves ready for a back to school season? Creators can often tell a story about their wedding planning better than we can on our own. So we tend to like the model of creator plus DSW built content as a way to represent our point of view. And we've seen a lot of success in that when it comes to weddings, whether it's best friends and celebrating Galentine's and things of that nature. We're certainly leaning into the creator space, and we see our customer responding really nicely to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think one of the things that has drawn so many marketers to the creator economy is the diversity of creators, right? I think, you get so many different types of people who are creating content and really speaking to different communities and different audiences. And I think that, is going to continue to be a driver of seeing more creator content really across channels. But even as, we're seeing creator content move into, out-of-home campaigns, TV, or in stores, social media is still the main hub. And we really are in this era now where basically every social platform is a video platform. I just talked about this during the keynote. And TikTok, of course, has been a major catalyst in the boom in video content and short video content particularly. So Bryan, oh my gosh, is Maxine awake? She is. Oh. Well, you and Maxine have over 4 million followers on TikTok. How are you navigating this period of volatility and uncertainty around the platform?
I don't know. We do pretty well in like volatile climates, because I've been doing this since 2015, and have been pretty. And I come from an advertising background, and everything about being a creator, there is no stability to it, right? So from the jump, we were all about diversifying, like what platforms we were on, who we were talking to, making sure we're getting in front of different audiences. Like a big thing for us is not just reaching people who are pet evangelists, but also being a part of cultural moments. Like Maxine was on Sesame Street. She got on Ed Sheeran's back. We did like stuff with Bert Kreischer. So diversification is the name of the game, and you really can't rely on any platform. Like your business is literally in the hands of another company. So it behooves you to get off of platform. That's why we have a newsletter right now that we launched with another creator that has about 80,000 followers. We launched an events program called Chonk Fest, where we bring people off the internet, and we did 2 events, and each one sold out 1,500 tickets. So I think in this climate, especially with TikTok, it's like I hope creators that are more novice to this work kind of get the hint of like you can't rely on anybody but yourself. That's just the fact of it. And if you're putting all your eggs in one basket, TikTok can go away. People think it still will go away, and you just have to kind of get your audience ready and start moving on to different platforms. We've got our newsletter on Beehive. They've been great. So that's what I've been recommending to people is just prepare, expect the best, prepare for the worst.
So one of the other things that I love about how you've built your business is that you haven't just diversified platforms, but you've also diversified the types of brands that you work with, moving out of pet endemic brands, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about that? I mean, you mentioned, we talked about Google Wallet already, but how do you incorporate sort of brands that are outside of the pet industry into your content?
That's kind of like what we focus on most now, is working with non-pet endemic brands. We had a really long relationship with Dell. It was about an 18-month-long relationship, which I know seems very non-traditional. It was a leap for them, so good on them. And the thing with pets these days, you put a pet with anything, and it's a cheat code. If you know how to market, then you can kind of make it really work. Like, we're content creators. We have a business. I'm traveling all over the world to do these events, and the suite of products that Dell had fit really well into telling that story, into how you can navigate that part of your life. We talk to car brands all the time because we've got a kid, we need to travel. It's like there are more pets than children in this country. So I think it's not a niche thing. Like bringing your dog with you, it's not niche. And it's also like a fun creative challenge. When you get a brand that's like Taco Bell, what would you do with a dog in Taco? Well, we know what they did with a Chihuahua in Taco Bell, but what would you do with a pet creator in Taco Bell? Like, that's fun. It's fun to surprise people. Like, We just put Maxine on the back of our friend has an account called Old Jewish Men. And we just put Maxine on this old Jewish man's back, and he sat in a Costco eating a hot dog. And, people don't know that there's a part of that that's like, it's SponCon. It's all meant to be that way. It's like, can you surprise and delight people and kind of, meet them at a different place other than just watching QT pet content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, social media is about surprising and delighting people with your content, but it's also become a sales channel. And Sarah, when we were talking earlier, you said that you were pressing pause on exploring TikTok Shop, but still continuing to lean into the platform in other ways. So could you just elaborate a little bit on how you're doing that and why you are continuing to invest despite the turmoil?
Yeah, I think it's a bifactor of time, really. We were in the process of exploring TikTok Shop and would continue if there's some stability on the platform. But that said, we are still very much invested in reaching and connecting with communities on the platform, working with creators on the platform. you could flip a coin. Who knows what direction this is going to go. And we believe the learnings that we're experiencing with this kind of push into TikTok specifically can translate to learnings on other platforms. Just great best practices for what content is resonating with the consumer landscape today, and how that can translate to potentially enhance strategies for the Instagram platform or YouTube or other. So there's certainly a good benefit to continue to get smarter on content and creator strategies.
Nicole, would you agree with that? Because Taco Bell is really, really good at harnessing TikTok trends and working with a lot of creators to do so. So how do you see the future of TikTok content, specifically when it comes to trending content versus longer form or more evergreen storytelling, with or without TikTok?
I think with or without TikTok, the need for brands to embrace trending content was bubbling, and TikTok just put it on an accelerator. The reason why brands need to embrace trending content is because an evergreen strategy can very quickly become like a place for complacency or set it and forget it, where you just may have created something a month ago and posted and it may not land the same. And so people really are so more savvy than ever before, and they know that there are human beings running these channels, right? Like you see people be like, oh, the intern posted this or whoever posted that, give them a raise, right? Like people are aware that there are people behind these brands. And so because of just that savviness, the people are embracing brands that are as a more real time, because that means that you know that they're paying of internet culture and really leaning in and embracing those trends. Whether or not TikTok stays, trending content will always be a part of the mix. I think the pendulum possibly has swung too far to one side, and it will revert back, but it won't revert back to this more stale evergreen. It will revert back somewhere in between where a personality will still shine through. It's kind of table stakes these days to be unhinged. It feels like everyone's like, yeah, we love to see these unhinged brands, right? But it can't just be unhinged for the sake of it. It has to be true to you. But you can start to see, like, when every brand is just throwing Demure or Brat around this past summer, that people are like, we get it. And you'll even see these compilations of like all the same copy from all these different brand accounts. So you don't want to embrace a trend just for the sake of it without infusing your own human truth, your personality in it. So I think we're going to end up somewhere in between hyper trending, but not go back to static evergreen content.
Yeah, I mean, on a personal level, I mean, I feel like very demure, very mindful was at least a tipping point for me when I opened my email, and every single email that I had from a brand started with very demure, very mindful. And I was just like, enough. Like there's just way too much of it out there. And I think, to your point about the pendulum kind of starting to swing back, but even though it won't go entirely back, that's probably a relief to some brands, no? Because jumping on trends brings with it a lot of challenges. And, what are some of the ways that you can sort of mitigate the risks of maybe missing the mark or, jumping on a trend too fast and maybe not having it be exactly right for your brand?
I actually think the center, like kind of reverting back to this middle space, is the hardest for brands, because it is, you can almost bandwagon a trend like you were just talking about with your emails by just using the copy, getting it out fast. The risk with trending is being too late, I think, more than anything, or just kind of falling flat and seeing like a bandwagon. And the risk with evergreen content is not feeling like a member of the internet, not feeling like you're fluent in internet culture. The middle ground where you have to understand what your audience cares about, what your brand cares about, and what the internet cares about, and find the bullseye center of those three things, which is literally like a strategic imperative that we have at Taco Bell. That is the hardest part, and it takes a lot of science, a lot of trust, and a lot of fluency in all three of those areas.
Sarah, I see you nodding. Is this something that you're also thinking about and struggling with?
Yeah, I just think Nicole said it so well. And I'll just build on that and say, in my opinion, it comes down to who you are as a brand, first and foremost. If a trend doesn't feel naturally right or important or relevant to your audience, don't follow it just because it's a trend. I think that's when inauthenticity comes forward, and you get called out on that. And consumers are super savvy and smart. They understand that. So I think it's a filter, using your brand and your positioning and your unique points of differentiation, and understanding why customers care about you is the first thing that you need to apply to any decision that you make, what creators you work with, when do you produce content, what are your partnerships. That's all decided by your brand positioning.
Absolutely. And you brought up partnerships, which is a perfect segue into the next topic that I want to talk about, because as we've seen creator content evolve, the way that brands and creators work together inevitably needs to evolve as well. And so we're seeing more longer term partnerships. I know, Bryan, you already brought this up with your partnership with Dell. We're seeing more product collaborations and even some brands and agencies putting creators onto their payroll. So Bryan, I wanted to throw it back to you so you can elaborate a little bit more about or on your partnership with Dell and any other longer term partnerships that you've had. And I'm really curious for the creator point of view on both the benefits and the challenges of really being a spokesperson or having a longer term relationship with a specific company.
Sure. As somebody, we've built up a lot of trust in our community, so we take our partnerships very seriously. And we try to be like an evangelist for that brand. I want to live, I want to breathe it, I want to tell people why we use it. It becomes like a really fun little puzzle. Like, can we get across, because I think audiences these days, they know creators do brand partnerships. They know things are ads. Like, most of the comments on our ads are like, wow, this was like a pretty good ad. Like, I watched the whole thing. Because I think when you get into the space where you have this intimate relationship with your audience, you're selling a lifestyle. And if that product can fit into your lifestyle, then I want people to know about it. So when we were working with Dell and I knew kind of what their mandates were for like 2 quarters away, I could work on integrating that product into my life. And it just became kind of really seamless. So when we went traveling, I got content on the plane. I actually used products, when we went to SoCal Corgi Beach Day or did Chonk Fest. And then when we made the content, it wasn't just like I spent the weekend making it, because it becomes, again, very transparent when you're just doing sponsored content. So I really try and live and breathe the brand with the partnerships that we do. And I think it just instills so much trust when you're working long-term with a brand and they're willing to make that commitment. And the communications from the brand side, that's also really important. Do they get what's important to me as a creator? And if that extends to me, I mean, I've done deals with long-term brands where I think we've delivered 4 or 5x the number of deliverables just because we want to hit their KPIs. We want to do good work for them. It's not about a paycheck when you have this really integrated relationship and a partnership. It just becomes more meaningful. So it's usually what we look for. We don't try and do one-off deals. And if we do, it just doesn't instill a lot of trust. And there's just, it's kind of rare that you come back and it facilitates something more meaningful. So.
Right. You're more invested in the brand. You're more invested in the product. It makes sense. The other question I have for you is, because now with Little Chonk, you obviously have your own product line. Yeah. How do you balance your own business and brand with brand partnerships from third-party brands?
Oh boy, that's a question, huh? It's the backpack. I say the backpack. The backpack is it's like really integral to everything we do. It's why, she loves being in it. We love traveling. So I think we got really lucky with it because it's so it's just a part of what we do. So everything that I bring her to do, like, she's in the backpack. So when Sesame Street called, it's like, oh yeah, people know us for the backpack. I'll wear the backpack. And they're like, fine. We did a commercial with PetSmart. Oh, the backpack's the thing. That's why we do it. And a lot of brands that we work with, they know, they get it. So it's great to be able to include it as a part of our story, and the halo effect of that is fantastic. But we try and be very careful about like not hitting people over the head with it. And again, that comes with a diversity with other influencers that we work with kind of email campaigns, SMX. We sell the backpack. Well, now she wants out of the backpack. We sell the backpack, but like, I'm not making constant content about like, here's the product, here are the benefits, because it's just something people know us for. So we try and be really smart and respectful of our audience, because, if I'm on the other side of this relationship, like, I get it. You got a company. I don't want to hear about it all the time. I want to see your adventures. That's why I follow you. So I don't know. We test and we learn every day, and we're in the DMs talking to people, and we usually get a feel if anybody's getting sick of doing too many ads, doing too much of this, doing too much of that, and we kind of,
And I think it helps because it's just so authentic and integral to the content that you're making, right? I totally understand where you're coming from with that. But I would love to get Nicole and Sarah, your perspectives on this as well, because Sarah, I know you just announced a partnership with Paige DeSorbo, but I imagine that you aren't developing a footwear line with every influencer and creator who you work with. So could you talk to me a little bit more about the ways that you incorporate or integrate creators into your campaigns?
Yeah, it really varies. And honestly, it's very similar to what Bryan was saying as far as we pursue genuine, authentic partnerships with each and every person that we enlist as a creator, whether it's a celebrity level partner or somebody who has, 5,000 followers. It's something that we operate internally, and our teams inside of DSW are working hand to hand with each and every partner that we do enlist. We'll have partners who, to your point, maybe we're not curating a line for each and every one, but we have a celebrity stylist partner and Mimi Kurtel, who last fall helped to guide our consumers around what the best fall trends were. And she was completely on point and what styles could fulfill that trend within a DSW assortment. We have partners that we're simply working with on content creation and how are they wearing these products? What are their kids selecting for back to school? What are they looking for their holiday gift and wish list? And those perspectives shared within their communities and then shared within the DSW communities are just as valuable as a celebrity partnership where we are curating a line of Paige's selection of her favorite shoes for the season and bringing that to life in store. As I mentioned at the top, this is content that manifests in our stores, in all of our marketing channels, and importantly on the creators' channels. So that is truly just as important as the work that we put into our channels as well, because we want to make sure that we're engaging their audience with the DSW brand. But we do look for longer term partnerships. I totally believe in what Bryan said, and we share that same sentiment. We're not necessarily looking for transactional relationships. We're looking for people who truly have a connection to our brand, are interested in what we have to say and what we have to offer, which is accessible value without compromising your style or personal self-expression. You can be whoever you want, and shoes do a lot of that lifting in expressing yourself. And so hearing different people's personal interests and expression just adds a nice spark to listen and learn about those unique perspectives.
How about you, Nicole? Because when we spoke earlier, you said that you had 3 different speeds with which you worked with creators. What do you mean by that? And how do you balance those 3?
Exactly what Bryan and Sarah have been talking about. For us, we have a lot of new news. Our food calendar and certain menu items are turning over nearly monthly on a 4-week basis. But there's long tail narratives that also, we want to make sure we're delivering to consumers. So the 3 different speeds are, long-term, very long-term, annual, something in between where it might be a few pulses throughout the year, but still really developing that relationship, learning about each other. And then especially in the food business, there are some people that are talking a little bit more news. It might feel a little bit more like they just want to cover what's hot and the latest buzz. And so while we'll still develop a long-term relationship with every creator that we work with, we might enlist them for one product in a short flight, but they know that they'll be hearing from Taco Bell again. So those are the 3 speeds. It's a very campaign, kind of touch points and pulses throughout the year, or this always on type of relationship. And I'll just say, it's so tempting when you read, the trades and you hear everything about AI and being able to activate at scale and move quickly and provide cost efficiencies, like that comes at a price. And I think the biggest takeaway we're all saying, the 3 of us, is that the personal relationships really do. They take the time to curate, but they pay you back either as a creator or a brand in spades.
And I think that is a perfect note to end on. I have so many more questions for the 3 of you, and I wish I could talk to you for longer, but we do have to cut it here. Sarah, Bryan, and Nicole, thank you again so much for this great conversation. We really appreciate it. And now it is over to you, Jeremy and Sarah, back in the studio.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. And by the way, if you like that panel with Jasmine, she'll be coming back soon to wrap the day up with us and answer your live questions.
Will Maxine be coming back?
I would love that. So if you have any votes for anybody coming back, throw those in the comments. Throw questions in the comments as well. well in that chat. And we have another special guest with us now, Kelsey Voss, Principal Analyst at eMarketer. Welcome to the summit.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
We're excited to chat with you. I want to start off maybe, since you're our resident B2B expert, I have to ask, can you share a perspective on B2B marketing and creators? How big is that market? How significant is it?
Yeah, it's absolutely growing. Typically, B2B marketing is about lead generation, gated content, paid advertising, sales outreach, but it's really shifting towards community-driven marketing. B2B's always been about trust and authenticity and credibility. And now in a time where AI content is everywhere, trust is really, really important. So buyers are turning to influencers, but in B2B, they're not really called influencers. There's thought leaders, they're experts. They are more industry experts and educators. And they provide real valuable insights that buyers trust. So buyers are turning to this user-generated content and industry discussions, and it's incredibly powerful.
Where is that happening, Kelsey? Is that entirely on LinkedIn? Is it spreading to other platforms?
Yes, it is. It's even spreading to places like Reddit because of that discussion-based, user-based conversation that people trust. They trust what their colleagues and these industry experts are saying. And B2B has this incredibly large group of micro-influencers who have these highly engaged niche audiences. And they're not just pushing products, they're sharing expertise through courses and workshops and consulting. So they're definitely on more platforms than just LinkedIn. They're on YouTube, they have podcasts, they have newsletters, and more.
That makes sense, especially because we're seeing Reddit show up so much in search results now that those conversations will be happening there. Reddit, I feel like, has definitely gained legitimacy in the space.
It has.
Yes. One thing to build off of that, because I know you were talking about micro, and I think we even saw some recent data about this, which is that the essentially micro, you're getting the best ROI, the most success with in 2024. Micro, of course, is 10,000 to about 100,000 followers or subscribers. And to me, I'm curious what you think, but it tells me that there's a certain element of niche where you just want to have the right kind of person with the right kind of following instead of just somebody who has a huge following, because it's not about numbers in the same way that it is for B2C maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be 100 followers, but if they are in an area of business and an industry that is incredibly niche, maybe it's a SaaS product that's offering something, a very complex solution. If this industry expert maybe has a patent or two, or is in engineering and can somehow relay the importance of what the solution has to offer, that it can be incredible, because in B2B, a sales cycle can be 9 months. But if it's a very high value sale, you don't need that many followers. You just need that trust and that authentic connection.
That makes sense. Going back to LinkedIn specifically, I guess my question is, how big is video on LinkedIn right now? We saw a big announcement from LinkedIn this week that they're coming for TikTok. Vertical video is alive on LinkedIn.
Pushing it in a big way, right?
How big a deal is that?
Yeah, it's funny. I will be talking with LinkedIn shortly about the latest and greatest. But yes, they are moving very much into this community-driven marketing. We know that LinkedIn's always been there for professionals, but these conversations, the real insightful comments and blogs are turning into these videos, because we know video can be more engaging and capture the attention better. So yes, it is definitely growing its presence in this arena. They're even, they're tapping into streaming as well, which is a very new area for B2B. But it's not the only player, but they are dominant for sure. So yes, I see lots of video, lots of engagement. much more than just posting.
Is there a lot of B2B play on TikTok? Like, I think that the reason LinkedIn can do this is because there's a white space for this. I definitely see like coaching kind of things on TikTok, but I don't see B2B as much.
Yeah, there might be a product demonstration or something on TikTok that's a lot more casual. Maybe a product demonstration would be more on YouTube. But point being is that brands, depending on the brand, because not every brand fits on TikTok, but depending on the B2B brand, they are trying to reach decision makers where they are in their downtime. So as we know, the pandemic blurred a lot of lines between professional and private or home-based activities. So people who are on TikTok, but if they know that they are B2B decision makers, there is an opportunity to reach them there. I wouldn't say it's a huge market though.
Mm-hmm. How about this? To me, I thought was really interesting when I was looking at how the average company, in the B2B space, is trying to work with creators and trying to get them to push particular products. It seems that performance-based, according to data, is where they basically try to go from a compensation standpoint. So I'm wondering just what are the other differences between B2B and B2C when you're trying to be successful, building a creator-based strategy?
Yeah, generally speaking, B2B firms will work with somebody that they probably already know in the space that might be very, a thought leader in whatever industry they're part of. However, for monetization, an influencer, instead of maybe getting directly paid by the B2B firm, will get paid through workshops and webinars or something where they're presenting maybe at an event. But it's less direct of, we'll pay you to pitch this product. It's a little different than B2C.
I want to find space for a Maxine the Fluffy Corgi type creator in B2B. I want that to be on my LinkedIn feed, although I guess I could just follow Maxine the Fluffy Corgi there.
Well, but that actually raises, I think, a really important question, which is a lot of B2B, I don't have to tell you, a lot of it's dry, right? Yes. Creators often, I would say, they're not as dry as the average brand is. They even if they're brand safe, they tend to try to be more engaging. So do you think there's a space for that, Kelsey? Absolutely. And also in the chat, by all means, let us know as well.
Yeah, no, I personally think there's a huge market for something that's a little more fun, engaging. It has been researched and proven that these more engaging, fun ads, if done correctly and if they're still relevant, do perform better than the dry, list of solutions and products and details about a product type of ad.
That makes sense. Hopefully we are also doing our part to make B2B less dry in this summit. Going back to LinkedIn, we got a question in the chat about paid advertising on LinkedIn. The question was, is LinkedIn the next big thing in B2B social advertisement? What are your thoughts on the platform as they promote LinkedIn ads on commercials?
So LinkedIn, pretty much well known to be the place for B2B. They're also a walled garden, and you can be hyper targeted on LinkedIn and reach pretty much almost exactly who you want to reach on LinkedIn. So it's not a general audience. You're reaching decision makers and the industry professionals and buyers, and you're reaching them sometimes, if done really well, at the right stage of their journey. So that's a huge advantage compared to other platforms. That said, I think organic content on LinkedIn is still incredibly powerful. The platform rewards engagement and it rewards these, insightful comments. So we're seeing more industry experts using LinkedIn to share valuable insights. So I think LinkedIn is definitely becoming a bigger piece of that paid puzzle, but I think it works best when it's paired with the organic thought leadership that people crave.
Yeah, I always feel like organic is that ideal that that you should strive to. I mean, obviously it works hand in hand with paid, but especially as more younger people enter the professional space, we know that they are less responsive to paid ads. It's organic content. It's working with people who have followings, who are trusted, who people are going to listen to, that I think will have those younger folks paying attention to them.
It's like Bryan said in the last panel, trying to make sure that there's relevancy and authenticity so that it feels really integrated when you're working with a creator.
Yeah. Maxine the Fluffy Corgi, please start being featured in our spreadsheet ads.
Yes. And these buyers can see right through a paid ad. They know it. So that's why they go to the trusted people that they look up to in these industries.
Well, that was great, Kelsey. And speaking of trusted, somebody I trust a lot is Minda Smiley, and she will be leading another analyst-led panel, Finding Influencers and Measuring Impact in the AI Era. Join Minda by clicking on Next Session above the chat on your right. And don't forget, if you have any issues, you may need to refresh your browser after you join the session.
The session with Minda will start after a quick teaser on eMarketer Pro Plus's new AI search tool.
In early 2025, eMarketer is launching AI Search, a faster, smarter way to get answers to your marketing, advertising, and commerce questions. Type in the question you're researching, like, which type of digital advertising is growing fastest? And watch our AI generate a response based exclusively on eMarketer research. You can see exactly which piece of research the AI-generated results are referencing, and browse recommended questions also AI-generated. If you want to dive into the normal search results, you'll find them just below. AI Search can help you get to answers and decision-making faster. Available only on Pro Plus.